Hey, Battle Built here with another video, and today we're getting some more Season 6 Great League Go Battle League battles. At this point in the season, we're about a week's worth into some Great League battles, and the meta has definitely adapted and adjusted over this time, and it is now time I give you guys my current go-to team that I've been having a ton of success with in Great League. If you've been following me on Twitch or you're in my Discord, two things I recommend: you go throw me a follow there and you hop in that Discord. I've definitely showcased you guys this team, and you've definitely seen me perform really well with it, getting plenty of 5-0s and 4-1s. And this team, as you see it on screen, consists of Skarmory, Defense Deoxys, and yes, Diggersby. I have not got my hands on a level 50 Diggersby yet. Well, actually I do have it. I don't have the XL candy to max it out, so I'm currently still using my level 41, not level 41, actually no, it's 40 and a half. Anyhow, the level 40 Diggersby is the one I'm currently using, but I do have a level 51 that I plan on using for some Great League battles, and I highly recommend you get as many of those XL candies so you can make it also. But I'm excited to show you guys the ins and the outs. I have a set that I'm going to go over, talk you through it, discuss some things, how I like to play certain matchups, and how I just like to play the team. And you know your boy, the Mud Boy Master, had to find something a little dirty, a little muddy in Diggersby and have a ton of success with it. I'm absolutely in love with this Pokemon. I know when you guys see these battles, you're going to be absolutely in love with it too. So before we jump into them, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and let's see how well my go-to team performs in this set. One last shameless plug before we jump into these battles: if you want to learn more about the team, I highly recommend you hitting the link in the description to my Twitch channel and throwing a follow. I stream about 5 days a week there, and if I'm not doing a spice set, I'm 100% running this team because it has brought me so much success. Getting into this first match, we have a Skarmory on a Sableye lead. We win the 0 and the 1 shield against Sableye, but we lose the 2 shield, so we have to be careful on how we want to play this out, and we definitely want to line up our back Pokemon well against our opponents. We let the first charge move come through just because it's a little bit less threatening when you have all this health, and it kind of makes them have to decide whether or not they want to shield since Sableye is so glassy. If they want to win this matchup, they need to shield the Sky Attack. They decide not to, which I find extremely fascinating because a lot of my opponents that I face with Sableyes have shielded that first Sky Attack. But either way, we allow that. They're going to get to another charge move, we're going to shield, and now we're going to be able to air slash the Sableye down and line up our back line with our opponent's back line exactly how we want to, especially because they have an Alolan Marowak, and we do not want that lined up with Defense Deoxys. Alolan Marowak is a bit of a weakness to this team, especially if it's running Fire Spin. Fire Spins are super effective against Skarmory, and then potential Shadow Balls or Shadow Bones are super effective against Defense Deoxys, but their Alolan Marowak is lined up with Diggersby, and what a lot of people seem to forget is that Diggersby is not just a ground type, it's a normal type, and when that Shadow Bone comes through, we double resist it. Yes, it gets the defense debuff, but that's fine. They safe swapped in, or not safe swapped, they swapped into Shadow Machamp, and we have Defense Deoxys for this. This team of 3 is a lot less weak to fighting now that we swapped the Abomasnow to Skarmory, so this lined up beautifully, even though we are at a shield disadvantage. I'm over farming like crazy because of the fact that I know when they get to another rock slide that I'll be able to tank it. And then the question becomes how they want to play out this matchup. Do they want to try and preserve their Machamp? Because I'm getting the 2 Rock Slides. A Rock Slide would definitely take out Machamp at this health. They decide to shield the first one, which because of that, they should shield the second one since they seem to want to be committing to their Machamp, and they do shield the second one, and you'll notice I will almost be able to counter down their Shadow Machamp because it's just taking so much damage, and Defense Deoxys is just so bulky. So this is overall an extremely bulky team. Diggersby is a tank. You saw how little that counter did from a Shadow Machamp. Skarmory's pretty tanky also. Their Alolan Marowak comes in, and they know it's GG. They have nothing that they can do to scare my Diggersby away. If they're running Fire Blast, maybe, but honestly, Diggersby is so tanky, I wouldn't be surprised if it could handle one of those, and not a lot of Marowaks are running Fire Blast anyway. Alright, getting into the second match, let's see what lead we get lined up with our Skarmory. We got Skarmory on Whiscash. So this is a positive lead. It'd be even more positive if we could avoid a potential Blizzard landing, and our opponent wants no part of this. They safe swap into Galvantula. Now, Galvantula is also another weakness for this team of 3 because it does well against Skarmory and Defense Deoxys, but you know who walls Galvantula pretty well? Diggersby. That lunge, Diggersby eats it. It does debuff us, but we get to these fire punches pretty quickly, and because Galvantula is so glassy, these super effective fire punches are going to chunk away. First one puts the Galvantula in the yellow. We get to another one. See how spammy and quick Diggersby gets to his charge moves? We're getting to another one here. This will either get the shield or take out the Galvantula, and we kept switch, which is huge, and we're debuffed at this point, so that needs to be kept in consideration. This Diggersby matchup on Whiscash is an interesting one because Blizzard would be super effective, but Whiscash is also water type, but isn't really throwing any water moves. Most Whiscashes are running Mud Bomb and Blizzard. You shouldn't be running anything else, but because of that, the Mud Bombs can be eaten by Diggersby as I'm throwing Earthquakes at their Whiscash. So they're going to get to another charge move here, and we're going to let this come through. They have not built up to the Blizzard to try and land to take out Diggersby. They think they can Mud Bomb it down, and that is just not working for them here. We got to a second Earthquake in the time they've thrown 2 Mud Bombs. Yes, they've definitely overfarmed. Might need to be potentially worried about a Blizzard afterwards, but Diggersby got their Whiscash really low. So if they're going to throw a Blizzard, they're going to have to throw it right away, or they're going to get taken out by Skarmory. And Skarmory could eat a Blizzard regardless, so I'm not even too worried about it. They swap into Skarmory. They don't throw an energy. I guess they keep that loaded in the back. We swap into Defense Deoxys to match their Skarmory, and they just quit because they know at that point they have no chance in the match. Skarmory is something this team performs really well against. We have the Mirror with Skarmory on Skarmory, Defense Deoxys beats Skarmory, and Diggersby beats Skarmory. Getting into this third match of the set, we're going up against a name you might recognize, Tho Technical. He's an extremely high-skilled trainer, PvPer in the Pokemon Go community, and we luck out and get a solid positive lead here. The question is going to be, what is he going to do to overcome this? He safe swaps into a Mew, and Mew is a bit of an issue because we don't know the move set on Mew. Some Mews are running Flame Charge, Wild Charge, some are running Surf, so I don't necessarily want to go into Diggersby or Defense Deoxys right away. I want to assist them in this matchup by throwing a Sky Attack and then dipping into Diggersby and really kind of hoping that they don't have Surf. We can't go in Defense Deoxys because those Shadow Claws are just going to be dealing super effective damage and they'll be chunking. This is also where Diggersby really benefits from its normal typing. Those Shadow Claws have done nothing. They went for another Flame Charge, so this is starting to make me feel like Tho is not running Surf on his Mew, but we don't know if he's going to want to commit to it and flip switch because that's his win condition here, and he decides to let that charge move go through even though I baited the Fire Punch, and that put us in a bit of an awkward spot. So I'm like, you know what, let's get off this Fire Punch in case that he has a double boosted Mew and he's also running Surf, but then he actually swaps into Venusaur because he was paying very close attention to the switch timer. So I'm guessing at this point he definitely doesn't have Surf, or he would try to stay in that matchup and throw it at some point, either take out my Diggersby or get a shield. We're hoping that our switch timer will run out, and it runs out at the perfect amount of time. We make an extremely skilled swap into Skarmory to catch this Frenzy Plant, and now we can commit to a complete farm down of his Venusaur. So the question becomes, what is his third Pokemon? Diggersby does have a little bit more than a Fire Punch loaded, and Skarmory is going to be loaded, and Defense Deoxys has full health, so we're sitting nice here. But again, we have to keep in mind I got a really good lead here, and his safe swap does give us problems, but based on what we've seen moveset wise, not the biggest concern for our team. Now he comes into a Galarian Stunfisk, and I want to play this carefully. I don't want to get Mudshot down, which is why I'm throwing the Sky Attack first, and now my hope is that I can get to the Brave Bird and then kill out the Switch Timer and swap. So I'm getting to this Brave Bird. It'll also do a really good chunk to the Galarian Stunfisk. I doubt he's going to shield it because he knows what Pokemon I have. Well, he knows I at least have Diggersby, and it didn't get shielded. I come right in with Diggersby immediately. Now my switch timer's up. I go for the Fire Punch to really threaten that shield to potentially take out the Stunfisk and get the shield. His charge move is coming through, and because we have Galarian Stunfisk in the back, we don't need to commit to Diggersby here. We can let that Earthquake take us out. Defense Deoxys is going to come in, it can counter away, and I think his last Pokemon is, no, we finish off the Venusaur, it's the Mew with a tiny bit of health. So he's getting to a charge move, we're going to call the Earthquake, we got a ton of health. We end up calling it correctly. We're going to commit to a counter down. He decides to swap. He goes for a charge move here, but his Mew is not boosted from those 2 flame charges from before since it swapped out. And the other move on the Mew is Wild Charge, which is why his Mew struggled so much against my Diggersby. He comes in with a Stunfisk and we counter it down. GG. Very well played match by Tho Technical. And I did luck out from that lead, but it was played very well on both sides. To recap what we've seen so far from the weakness perspective, Galvantula, Alolan Marowak, and Mew, depending on the moveset, can give us a bit of a hard time. From the strength aspect that we've seen so far, we do very well against some very meta mons in Skarmory and Galarian Stunfisk. Now, Funny enough, another weakness to this team is Swampert, because Defenseoxys doesn't have a great matchup against it, and obviously Diggersby does not want to see a Hydro Cannon. So they save Swap after a Skarmory lead. Does this team look familiar? This team should look a little familiar. They save Swap in the Swampert after a Skarmory lead. I wonder where they might have gotten this team from. I'm quite curious what their third Pokemon might be. It could be anything. It could be anything. Not all Skarmory Swampert teams have a third Pokemon of Whiscash. But yes, Swampert also another Pokemon that's a weakness, and it's important for me to highlight the weaknesses here because I've just had so many positive sets, and this ends up being a very strong positive set that there are obviously strengths if I'm able to play around these weaknesses and still win. So keep that in mind. We play this very well. We go into Defenseoxys, and now we got the Swampert at a health range where we can try and counter and Rock Slide it down. And we also want to keep Skarmory alive in case there is a Whiscash back there, but we don't really know what their last Pokemon is until now. It is a Whiscash. So unfortunately his switch timer was up, so that swap was obviously slow, but that was on purpose because we couldn't keep things lined up how we wanted to keep them lined up. And now my opponent's come into the Whiscash, and look at that. Somebody's using my old team to beat up on my current new team. Well, can my new team pull this one out? It's going to be down to the wire. This is going to be a very close match. I'm going to be throwing these Rock Slides as quickly as I can, getting off as much counter damage as possible, and I'm going to hope for the switch timer to come up. No, I'm going to hope for them to throw, and they decide to throw. They could have mudshotted me down. It would have been close, though, between the counters and how close I was to Rock Slide. I didn't want to go in the Skarmory because I would have just gotten blizzarded there. And now I come into Skarmory hoping that I can Air Slash it, or I was hoping I had enough energy to potentially throw a Sky Attack. Unfortunately, I do not. They're going to get to the Blizzard here, and this is not looking so great for me. So now my new Dirt Boy / Mud Boy, the question is, does it have a chance to clutch out this match for me? It's down to the wire. It's a 1v3, but the two weaknesses to Diggersby are pretty low in health. We get out the Fire Punch just in time to take out the Swampert. Let's see what they decide to do. Do they come to the Whiscash to try and land the Blizzard, or do they come into Skarmory? They come into Skarmory, so this is going to become a race. They could try to Brave Bird, which is why I'm just over farming and I haven't thrown yet. So if they decide they want to Brave Bird, do more damage, their defense will drop, I think, like 3 stages, and the Fire Punch will hurt so much more. They throw a Sky Attack there, so I'm like, alright, I need to land 3 Fire Punches here, and you might have noticed something. Another Air Slash got through as I clicked that Fire Punch, and that's going to be crucial here. So what I'm going to try and do is build up to 2 Fire Punches and get them both off. I get off the first one, I'm at 2, so all I need to do is click the next Fire Punch, and I'll take out the Skarmory. I click it, and we CMP tie, and they are going to take me out with a Sky Attack, which is extremely unfortunate. They were able to sneak in an extra Air Slash at one point in the battle sequence, essentially, and that allowed them to take me out because I was at that Fire Punch and would have taken out the Skarmory. Whiscash was super far away from a Blizzard, but funny enough, my new current team loses to my old current team, and that's, I guess, the karma I get from for abandoning my Mud Boys. And whether or not the visual is deceiving me that the extra Air Slash went through or not, it was an extremely close match, and we are currently 2-1 in the set. So we're still positive here, and we're going to continue to be positive after that match. I definitely want to keep that one in though, because you gotta always pay homage to the Mud Boys. They're the ones that have gotten me to this point and where I am as a content creator and as a skilled Pogo PvPer. Getting into this 4th match of the set, we have a Skarmory on Azu lead. What I like to do is build all the way up to the Brave Bird just to potentially threaten a shield. They're going for a charge move. Since I built up so much energy, this could be a Hydro Pump. Unfortunately, I get baited. So I'm down to shields here, so I'm going to throw my next Sky Attack as quick as possible. Azu is not much of a weakness for this team. Skarmory does very well against it. Defenseoxys typically beats it, so I have 2 Pokemon there. And even Diggersby can tank some moves from Azu and land some Earthquakes that do hurt. So even though Diggersby does lose to Azu, it plays somewhat of a close matchup, but at least could put in some hurt against Azu's if it ends up getting stuck lined up against it. But we're not relying on Diggersby to do that. We're relying on Diggersby to beat up on the Galarian Sunfisks. That's what we care about, and Diggersby does that very well. As we continue with this match, they let their Azu go down, they let me farm it down. They come in with Sableye, land that Sky Attack, put the Sableye into the yellow, and at this point I'm like, can I get to another Sky Attack? And I just fall short, and they have to farm me down. So that's a bit unfortunate, but I do have Diggersby, and their Sableye is not purified. So I'm not worried about a return here. I know Diggersby can eat these foul plays. They're probably about to get to another one, but they decide to swap. They swap into Scrafty, and Scrafty on Defenseoxys is a very odd matchup. It's odd because Scrafty's a dark type, Defenseoxys is a psychic type. This foul play is going to hurt, but Deoxys has access to counter, so I'm chunking away at the Scrafty, dealing super effective damage because of Scrafty's dark typing. So I'm going to throw these rock slides. They're going to have to use their shields now, just because if they don't, Scrafty's are only hope potentially winning. I know after that foul play, this is definitely a power-up punch, and the reason why I didn't shield before was because I was worried about getting baited, but I can survive that power-up punch and get off this rock slide, which will force their last shield, because they want to keep Scrafty alive. Their Scrafty is a bit boosted here, but Diggersby is very close to that fire punch. They'll get in a counter, they'll get to a charge move. I do not want to take any damage here, whether it's a power punch, I'll be super effective, even though it's a weak move. It is boosted a little bit, and I definitely didn't want to take a powered up foul play. So I had shielded, I get to the fire punch, the counters really weren't doing too much, they just barely got me into the yellow. Fire punch takes out the Scrafty, they come into Sableye, and this is GG. They're not going to get off 2 foul plays. Diggersby can eat these foul plays regardless. This one will put us into the red, and we will now get to the fire punch to take out the Sableye. So as long as we can keep Sableye away from Defense Deoxys, Diggersby and Starmie also perform very well, so that is another Pokemon that this perform beats pretty nicely. That's a bit awkward. That was actually my 5th match this set. Where did the time go? I just enjoyed, commentating over my new team so much. I guess the Double Mud Boys was my 4th match this set. We were already 3-1 at that point, so I miscommentated the record there. And I also said the 5th match was the 4th match, so I do apologize for that, but those were 5 matches, won 4 out of 5 of them. I've had plenty of 4-1 sets and plenty of 5-0 sets with this team. I highly recommend it. I definitely wanted to keep that 1 loss in to pay homage to my Mud Boys, like I said earlier. But other than that, let me know what you thought of the team. I'm having an absolute blast with it. Let me know what your current go-to teams are in Season 6 Great League Battles. And if you want to learn more about it, feel free to ask me in the comment section. But I highly recommend you check me out on Twitch. That is where I do almost all of my battles on a weekly basis. So if you want to learn the most about this team and how to use it well, go and throw me a follow there and check out some of those live battles. Now, a big question to answer at the end of this video is, do you need the level 50 Diggersby in order to have success with this team? And I feel like the quick answer and the pretty clear answer is no, because this Diggersby that I'm using is a level 40 and its IV breakdown is a 15, 10, 15. I still highly recommend you get a level 50. I'm having a hard time saying level 50 and Diggersby in the same sentence. I highly recommend you get a level 50 Diggersby just because it adds more bulk and it helps it win its positive matchups even harder, which can help you in Go Battle League matchups, because if it's winning with either more health or more energy, then that's extra damage you can do to the rest of your opponent's teams. So please take that word of advice. I hope that was valuable information. Grind what's left of this Kalos event, if it's even still going on by the time this video goes out. I don't really know the scheduling dates on the events and whatnot, but I wouldn't be surprised if Bunnelby is still a pretty common spawn after the event is over, so get your XL candy and get your level 50 Diggersby. Other than that, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. It's really appreciated, and I'll see you guys in the next video.